Feeling stretched thin, trying to juggle every task in your kitchen because you think no one can do it like you can? To me, that's a clear sign that you could use an upgrade to your ability to delegate, which to me makes sense because it's a skill that's often expected, no, always expected, but generally not taught, and it's certainly not trained. Do you remember when you first learned how to hold a knife and to cut? I imagine it took you time to develop that skill because I know for me, it took quite a while. But bear with me for a minute. I also understand that you're probably a long way from that now, especially when it comes to knife skill. But from my experience, after all of these years, there are advanced leadership skills that would benefit from that same level of intentional practice, care, and mentorship for all the pieces beyond the food. Now, specifically today, I'm talking about delegation. And delegation, or the assignment of tasks, is the only way to share the workload that you're trying to carry and pass it out to the people who are compensated to do it. I know I needed help with developing those skills, but I didn't know where to find it, like so many of those skills that we're expected to exude as executive culinary leaders. So in this video, I'm going to share with you an effective process to become a better delegator in less than 14 minutes, so you can scale your leadership and make everyone around you more effective, reaping the benefits to the budget, the operation, and to your legacy. I implemented this exact practice with Chef Dominic Calla to break down his processes and delegate so he could organize his team, create the positions he needed to be more visible, and carve out the time necessary to develop his program in such a way that he could lead his team and create the memorable experiences that his membership was expecting. If you're ready to take the next step in your culinary career and develop all of those skills that are so often required but rarely trained and require a lot of trial and error to figure out, then I can help. This is what I do every day with my clients in their kitchens all over. Click the link in the description below the video right now to schedule a call with me so that we can work together through these processes. The development of the delegation skill that I'm talking about starts with discussing what delegation is and what it isn't. Delegation isn't about handing off tasks and hoping for the best. It is about preparing and allowing your team to act on your behalf, then learning how to trust and verifying that work. See, for me, trust comes from faith and evidence. And you need to have a little bit of both, but I'm not talking about having blind faith that work is going to get done. I want to have faith that I'm giving the right task to the right people based on their development. And I develop my trust by being more specific with my people and assigning smart tasks to the appropriate team members, the ones who have the skill and the understanding and the potential to execute those tasks that I give. And then I need to make sure that I take those people who have those tasks, train them, support them, and guide them through the process, and then finally follow up and verify the work that got done. Okay, so next what we need to do is we need to be able to sort through your priorities and sort out what you can and can't delegate. And this is something that you're going to need to do regularly. You're going to need to reevaluate your primary work based on the vision that you have set and how that aligns with the vision of the operation. This is the nature of the high-level, complex work that we need to do to keep our kitchens operating. And if you're looking for a little bit more on prioritization, maybe you've seen my video, maybe you haven't, but I talk about it and I use a tool called the Eisenhower Matrix. And if you haven't seen it, you can check it out. I'll put the link in the corner. So in order to determine the work that we need to prioritize and the work that we can delegate, we need to break work down into 4 pieces. The first is the high-level work that's not really eligible for delegation. This includes your mission, your vision, and so many of the intangible management and executive skills like organization, structure, budgeting, and leadership, the high-level processes and procedures that need to be completed. The second piece of this puzzle are the objectives or goals that have measurable outcomes that can be and will be delivered over a specified period of time. See, objectives are necessary because they bring vision into material reality by setting waypoints or key performance indicators to help guide you while you're in the midst of a process. Goals can be collaborative, but they're not something that you can just leave to other people and expect a great result with, and therefore it's something that really should not be outright delegated. Now, the last 2 pieces of work that I need to discuss often get lumped together and really very often get confused with one another, and they're projects and tasks. And this, from my experience, is where delegation really gets a bad rap and puts a bad taste in our mouth as chefs, especially as new delegators. So let's work through what the difference is, right? A project is a multi-step process that needs to be completed in order to reach goals or objectives. Projects can be delegated, but depending on the complexity, require team members who have greater skills and greater understandings of how to coordinate, how to manage and differentiate between smaller tasks, and how to motivate team members, resources, and leverage deadlines. Tasks are those individual, much smaller pieces of work that make up projects and which can be verified when they're done. And to me, the most effective tasks are what I call SMART tasks. And SMART tasks are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and bound by time. So they don't stand a chance of being misconceived or misunderstood. Because when tasks aren't that clear, then they certainly don't stand a chance of getting done, or they're certainly not going to get done the way you need them to. These tasks should be the vast majority of what gets delegated, with the exception of to your higher level leaders. Something that I didn't realize myself, and that I think most people don't, is that it's best to plan for about 25% of the time needed for a project to go to training and coaching. Or basically, for every 30 minutes of work that you're trying to delegate, you need to prepare for 7 minutes of guidance. Does that sound outrageous? It might, but at the same time, you're working to leverage other people's work. And so if a project takes you 20 minutes, you could be getting essentially an hour's worth of work done through other people by taking that time and delegating and coaching and training so that other people can execute those pieces. And so the main takeaway here is to differentiate between the work that only you can do and the work that can be delegated out, and make sure that it's broken up in such a small way that the team around you can understand it and execute those pieces. I often talk about coq au vin as an example of a project, right? A project that requires multiple steps and multiple people. A sous chef or somebody who has vast culinary experience is going to understand all the things and the components that go into a coq au vin. Somebody who's a bit newer at cooking needs the smaller individual chunks, the butchery of the chicken, the development of the sauce, the marinade for the chicken, the cutting of the garnish, and maybe it's as specific as the fluting of the mushrooms and the cutting of the lardons. This is often a pain point for many culinary managers who want to give instructions, but make it far too general. When you're familiar with doing something, you often start to generalize far more than you should and leave out a lot of the tiny little details that we do out of habit, but that are completely necessary to the successful completion of those individual little tasks, right? The project size and task specificity tend to change a little bit depending on the person that it's being delegated to. So pay close attention to those things and just make sure that you're cutting things down into achievable tasks to the people that you're delegating to. And once you do that, there's some common traps that you're going to need to avoid. One of the main ones is that nobody can do it like you can. It sucks you into believing that everything needs to be done by you, when in all reality, you may absolutely do that one thing better than everybody else, but there's all of these other processes going on at the same exact time, and you're not going to be able to do everything better than everybody all the time. So in order to avoid that trap, zoom yourself out and understand that your work probably isn't getting done and you're doing somebody else's work, overlooking that it comes with sacrificing your attention elsewhere. Another one is you can do it faster. You're probably right, but you're at a point now, if you're in the executive chef role or even the executive sous chef role, that you need to be training people to be faster, because the faster they are, the more you're able to execute through your team. Another one, if it's not perfect, it's not right. Perfection is a thief when it comes to progress, right? Holding out for perfection is a surefire way of keeping things from getting done. It's okay to give your people space to fail and make their mistakes. Just break it down into smaller pieces, because if you're protecting your team from micro failures, then you're actually stunting their growth. As long as you insulate the guests, your members, your clients from any of those micro failures. And I think about my job as the father to my daughter, and my responsibility is not to prevent her from making all the little mistakes that she needs to. All the little mistakes that are going to help her be successful that she needs to learn. My job is to make the mistakes not so life critical, but at the same time still allow her to have those discoveries to learn that she can develop the confidence that she needs to do things on her own. course you don't want to see your people fail, but in all reality, some people need to learn how not to. A lot of that can be resolved if you're sticking to upfront expectations, developing a series of guidelines, like I said, smart tasks with clear measurable outcomes so that you can deliver them as an upfront expectation when you're delegating things. Giving clear, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound tasks make it so that people understand what success looks like. You simply do everyone a favor when you provide enough information up front so that your people can understand what a task well executed looks like to you. And that happens when you communicate that up front. Now, the cool thing is, the more you do this, the more you build trust, the more they build trust with you, and the more you can delegate higher level tasks with everybody. The final piece here is making sure that you're following up and following up and following up and following up. And this is why I'm such a huge proponent of making sure that executive chefs are freeing up time and lifting their head up from the stove to look around and see the people around them, recognize the guidance that they need, and providing the right kind of follow-up to bring them to the level that they need to be. There are decisions that you need to make to direct your managers, and there are decisions that your managers need to make to direct your cooks. You can't decide or direct when you're fully engaged in doing task work. It's very tempting as a chef to cook, to focus, to get the head down and to bang on that work, and absolutely there's a time and a place for that. But delegation is truly the only way to actually lead a team. It's the only way to leverage and manage and utilize the resources that are available to you. So now when you follow up, make sure you're following up with clarity, with candor and guidance. And with the right follow-up, you're going to be able to scale your kitchen success, your leadership, and your style. So there you have it. A comprehensive look at how effective delegation can transform your leadership and elevate your entire kitchen operation. Remember, delegation isn't about simply offloading tasks. It's about empowering your team. It's about trusting their abilities and providing the right guidance to ensure success. When done right, delegation will not only free up your time, but also allow you to focus on what truly matters, driving the vision of your operation forward and executing the task and project work at the level that only you can. As you continue to refine this skill, keep in mind the importance of clear communication, setting smart tasks, and consistent follow-up. These are the building blocks of a well-oiled kitchen where everyone knows their role and contributes to the bigger picture. Now, if this has resonated with you and you're serious about taking your delegation skills and by extension your leadership to the next level, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help you navigate through this journey, just as I have with many others in your position. You can do that by clicking the link in the description to schedule a call with me, and let's work together to unlock your full potential as a leader. The success of your kitchen, your team, and your legacy only benefit from it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any future tips on developing your skills and mastering the craft of culinary leadership.